Welcome A-level biology class. It's absolutely fantastic to have you all here for today's explainer. Under Uganda's new competence-based curriculum, we're totally moving away from just memorizing dusty textbook facts. Instead, we're throwing on our lab coats and actively solving real-world problems. Okay, let's dive in. Today, we're looking at something so common we barely even think about it: water. But as you're going to see, the chemistry of water is literally the fundamental chemistry of life itself. So, here's the mystery we're tackling as future community health educators. Just recently, a really promising young athlete from a local secondary school collapsed right on the pitch during a district athletics competition. The sun was scorching, right? The ultimate cause was severe dehydration. Now, everyone in the community knows a lack of water is bad, sure, but they don't truly understand why it's so critical on a biological level. Your task today is to become empowered problem solvers. We need to explain to parents and the community exactly why water's unique properties are literally what keep our bodies going. The universal solvent, testing salt and oil. To really understand a massive whole-body crisis like our collapsed athlete, we've got to zoom way, way down to the invisible molecular level. We're exploring a big question here. Is water actually a universal solvent? Let's walk through our benchtop methodology step by step. And hey, this is exactly the kind of practical procedure you need to nail for your competence-based national exams. First, grab 2 clear beakers and pour about 100 milliliters of water into each. In the first beaker, add a spoonful of ordinary table salt and give it a good stir. Then, in the second beaker, add a spoonful of cooking oil and stir that one vigorously. Now hold on, stop right there. Don't just wait for me to give you the answer. I want you to make a prediction. What do you think is going to happen in that first beaker with the salt? And what about the second beaker with the oil after we let it sit for 2 minutes? Take a mental guess right now. All right, let's see. This brilliantly illustrates our first core concept. The salt completely disappears, right? It dissolves. That's because salt is an ionic compound, meaning it carries an electrical charge. It's polar. Well, water is also polar, so it surrounds the salt and pulls it apart, almost like snapping powerful magnets together. But the oil? Oil is non-polar. It's kind of like that shy neighbor who absolutely refuses to mingle at a community gathering. Because water is polar and oil is non-polar, they separate completely into distinct layers. Water likes water, and oil just likes oil. Now, as rigorous scientists, we've got to record what we see. I want you to draw this exact table format right into your personal revision notebooks. Set up your columns for substance, observation, and conclusion. Then fill in the rows for both salt and oil, remembering our snapping magnets analogy and that shy neighbor separation we just witnessed. Documenting these specific results is exactly how you solidify this vital A-level knowledge. Moving right along, Part B, the sticky molecule, the 100-shilling coin drop. Let's see how this builds. So we know how water treats other substances, but how does it act with itself? We're going to do a wonderfully simple but honestly mind-blowing little experiment. Here are the steps. Find a flat, perfectly dry surface and place down a 100-shilling coin. Next, take an eyedropper and carefully, very carefully, add water to the surface of the coin, 1 single drop at a time. Your job is to count every single drop and pay really close attention to the physical shape the water makes on the metal before it eventually spills over. Pausing the narration once more. Picture a 100-shilling coin in your mind. It's pretty small, right? Before you try this on your benchtop, what's your guess? Could it hold 5 drops? Maybe 10? Honestly, how many drops do you think that flat piece of metal can possibly hold before physics takes over and it spills? The answer is actually wild. You can often fit 30 or more drops onto that tiny coin. If you get right down at eye level, it is a spectacular sight. You'll see this thick, jiggling, bulging water dome stretching high above the rim of the coin. It practically defies gravity. It swells like a massive, trembling bubble in slow motion until finally the tension breaks and the whole shebang spills across the table. The biological term for what you just saw there? Cohesion. Because water molecules are polar, they're deeply attracted to one another. They essentially stick together really tightly. And this cohesive stickiness is actually the only reason water is a fluid liquid that we can drink at room temperature, rather than just boiling off into a gas and floating away into the sky. So, the crucial point is the cellular crisis, solving the dehydration mystery. How does a polar sticky molecule explain why our athlete collapsed on the field? Let's zoom back out from the microscope to the entire human body. Think of polarity and cohesion working together as your body's ultimate cellular delivery system. Because water is polar, just like we saw with the salt, it easily dissolves vital nutrients, sugars, and salts in your digestive system. And because of cohesion, like we saw in the 100 shilling coin, those water molecules stick together to form a continuous, flowing stream of blood. This sticky, nutrient-rich river flows effortlessly through tiny blood vessels, fueling your muscle cells with energy and rapidly flushing away toxic waste. But if you don't have enough water, that vital delivery system thickens, it slows down, and eventually it just crashes. The chemical reactions in your cells simply halt. To stop this from happening, we must recognize the signs of severe dehydration. Keep an eye out for extreme thirst, profound dizziness, confusion, and honestly, most dangerously, a sudden lack of sweat during heavy exercise. If your peers stop sweating on the pitch, their cooling system has failed, and their cellular transport is an absolute crisis.
All right, let's wrap this up. Final revision quiz. Test your A-level knowledge.
We've covered some genuinely life-saving chemistry today. Let's see how well you've locked these A-level concepts in for your exams. Question number 1. Think back to our very first benchtop experiment with the 2 clear beakers. Based on how it interacted with the salt and the oil, is a water molecule considered polar or nonpolar?
The answer is polar. Yep, just like the salt, water has electrical charges that let it act like those snapping magnets, tearing apart other polar molecules. That's exactly what makes it such a brilliant universal solvent for our bodies.
Spot on. Question number 2. We watched that amazing slow-motion, gravity-defying bubble swell up on our coin. What is the specific biological term for the property that forms that bulging water dome on the 100 shilling coin? Answer is cohesion. The water molecules just love to stick to each other. This stickiness keeps them clinging together tightly, forming that beautiful, trembling dome instead of just instantly spreading out flat. Finally, question number 3. This is our big synthesis question, tying the benchtop directly back to the human body. Ultimately, how do these 2 properties, polarity and cohesion, work together to keep our local athlete's body actually functioning on the field? And here is your ultimate biological takeaway for the exam. Polarity dissolves the essential nutrients our cells need to survive, while cohesion allows the liquid blood to stick together and flow, reliably transporting those dissolved nutrients straight into the muscle tissues. Basically, if you lose the water, you lose the entire transport system. Which brings us to the most important lesson of the day. You aren't just studying biology to pass an A-level exam. You're studying it to protect people. With this molecular knowledge, you now have the power to help every parent in your community understand exactly why water is life. You can explain how dehydration literally stops the body's internal delivery system cold. So take this knowledge home, educate your community, and let's make sure not a single athlete collapses on our watch ever again. Because if water is the river of life, ask yourself, what happens to the entire human ecosystem when that river runs dry? Keep questioning, keep observing, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.